underground Reddit.
I was at my grandparents' house one night. My grandmother then came into my room at 3:30 in the morning and told me, "Your grandfather needs your help. Get up." This sort of startled me because she has never done anything like this. I go out to where my grandfather is right outside the door that goes into the garage, and he tells me that the garage door just went up and down 6 or 7 times. We need to check it out. I obviously said alright, and we went into the garage only to find the pull string that prevents the door from opening, which can only be pulled from the inside, was pulled. He looks at me and says, "We have to go outside to fix it so no one can get in." We then head outside, and when we rounded the corner to look at the garage, the motion lights came on and there seemed to be scratches on the door. He and I fixed the door and went back to bed. About 2 weeks after this, I was staying there again and woke up at around 2:30 in the morning to hearing stomping in the kitchen, which is very close to my room. I get up and hear the stomps come closer to my door and stop. I figured that my grandfather was adjusting the thermostat. I opened my door to see what was going on, only to find that everyone in the house was asleep and all the lights were turned off. Needless to say, I didn't sleep well that night. A few weeks passed and I went over there on a weekend because I had nothing better to do. Since it was a weekend, I stayed up rather late and fell asleep watching TV on my bed with my door opened. It was about 1:30 in the morning, and for whatever reason I woke up without any reason. I look around and realize that I had fallen asleep with the TV on. I looked at my door, and at that instant I saw a man-sized figure step out of my doorway and walk down the hall towards the kitchen. I slammed my door and stayed up all night. By this time, I was pretty convinced I had a demon or ghost or something in my grandparents' house. I was just relieved that whatever was in their house wasn't following me. Maybe a month after the last incident happened, I was at my dad's house and I was about to go to sleep. At my dad's, I am on the other side of the house from everyone. It was maybe 10:30 at night and I was about to go to sleep. I had laid down, turned my TV off and was drifting to sleep. Then outside of my door, I heard a combination of stomping and a really low sound. This honestly scared the hell out of me. I, in all of my infinite wisdom, decided to see what it was. When I opened my door, I saw the same thing that I saw at my grandparents' house. I teared up from fear and left the light on and fitfully tried to sleep. It didn't work well. Maybe a month and a half had passed after the last incident. I was at a friend's house and he and I cleaned out his shed so we could just hang out in there and smoke his hookah. He usually has a lot of people over to his house, but this night it was just he and I. We were smoking hookah and were almost finished. We were just listening to some music and I was just sitting there listening to the music when all of a sudden a black flash darted underneath my legs, but I didn't feel anything. I start to look around to see if one of his cats came in with us. As I started to look around, I realized that there is no cat in the shed. I start to become afraid on the inside but trying to keep myself outwardly calm. I look up at my friend, with a look of being close to panic, and all he says to me is, "I think something just ran underneath your legs." At this point, I started freaking out because I didn't say anything about it. He told me that he saw it as well. We both ran out of the shed and went into his house and just watched TV until we calmed down and went to sleep. This was the last time anything like that has happened. This was maybe 3 weeks ago. I saw this question and figured that this could be a good read to someone. TL, Doctor, I have a demon and it's scary. First of all, background. While I am not superstitious, I do feel like there are leaks in some places from either the past or somewhere else. Kind of a weird opinion, I know, but that's me. I was raised in a Christian home, but did not see myself as such. However, I have had a few unexplained events in my life, and have written them all down. This is copy and pasted from the document, so I apologize for the length ahead of time. My friend and I were in the middle of a city park around 9:30 or 10 p.m. Given this was not the best thing for two college girls to be doing, but we were both night owls and enjoyed night walks. We stayed in the lightways and in eyesight of my car. She, being a pagan, wants to thank the mother for the beautiful weather. I, being raised Christian but having no beliefs one way or the other at the time, stood at a fair distance to give her room to do her thing, while still being close enough to guard her. All of a sudden the weather changes from a balmy 65 degrees with little wind, to a chilling and blustery tear the skin from your bones cold wind. I had this sick feeling in my stomach that we were not wanted and or shouldn't be there, and needed to leave quick. My friend was terrified, and was crying uncontrollably, saying something about she did it wrong and she is sorry. I didn't care, just wanted to get back to my car and leave, so I half drug, half carried her, telling her to keep her voice down and it will be alright. She repeats over and over that she is sorry, and I am about to slap her just so she will snap out of it. That's when I saw them. About 60 yards away, there was a line of 4 people. At first, I thought they were cops, and I was mentally readying myself to cite the First Amendment about freedom of expression, blah blah, blah. I was trying to keep my friend from seeing them, but that didn't work. She immediately stopped crying and stood on her own. This of course is not ideal, and I was exasperated, and slightly pissed at the whole ordeal. That feeling in my stomach was about to knock me to my knees, it was so intense. The 4 approached us, slowly across the flat lawn. There were lights and city sounds, and my car mere feet away. These people got closer, and my friend started recited something about protection and I am tired of the bullshit. To my friend, I said, quietly get your ass in that car, now. My friend looks at me and nods, thankfully. We reach my car and the people are closing the distance between us and their original point, rather quickly, more like a swift march. I auto-unlock my car and both my friend and I get in. I promptly lock the doors and get my phone ready to call 911, if needed. In that short time span, I hadn't been watching the people, but my friend's scream brought me to attention. They were in front of my car and in my headlights. They were dressed drably in t-shirts and ripped jeans and I realized all were men. They had some writing or a tattoo on their faces, and when they linked arms, revealed a uniform tattoo that when they put their arms out, I shit you not, said nothing is worth your hope. I jammed the key in the ignition and put it in reverse, nearly running into a police car in the process. Having been transfixed on the 4 men, I didn't hear the sirens. Turns out that these 4 men were a part of an sect, a cult group who actually knew my friend because of their coven meetings or church for pagans. She had said that she was going to the park that evening for Thanksgiving, and they were going to rape her ceremoniously. My friend had no idea, and had to go to extensive therapy after, and I went to a few of my own sessions myself. After a few weeks, I was as recovered as can be. But my poor friend somehow just lost it. I still see her when I can, but she sometimes doesn't want to see me, as I trigger that night back for her. I think the one thing that really bothered me, and has stayed with me years later, was when the police questioned them about what they would have done with me. One of them said throw it away,